It's Friday afternoon, and what better way to end the week than a dogfight battle on the Phone Dog YouTube channel? How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com. In this hand, I've got that HTC One that you all love, and in this hand, I've got the Apple iPhone 5, actually running iOS 7, that a lot of people love as well. It's a battle, Android versus iOS, HTC versus Apple, bigger versus smaller. We're going to put them together and see which one comes out on top in this dogfight battle, which starts right now. Yes, the Android and iOS battle is still raging on, and to that end, I've got two hot devices in each one of those categories right here on the table in front of me. It's a Friday dogfight. Why not go out in style and start the weekend off with a bang? Here's the HTC One. It's available at AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile, and coming very soon to Verizon Wireless. Now, this thing comes in silver and in black, and specs-wise, you're looking at a 1.7 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 600 CPU, a 4.7-inch 1080p HD display, and then you've got a couple of different things as well on this device. You've got a 4 ultra pixel camera with HTC Zoe capabilities and blink feed capabilities as well as part of Android 4.1 with HTC Sense version 5. Then you have the Apple iPhone 5 over here, and specs wise a little bit harder to peg, and actually this is our unit, so it's running iOS 7, a beta version, so ignore the software if you will as much as you can. There are bugs. That's not what we're here to cover. We're here to cover the actual device itself and compare it to Android. You're looking at an Apple A6 CPU over here that's clocked at 1.2 gigahertz. That's a dual-core CPU. It's got a 4-inch Retina display over here as well, an 8-megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording, and I should point out that this one does 1080p HD video recording as well. 2,300 milliamp hour battery over here, 4G LTE connectivity on both of these devices, and you have the usual goodies over here with Siri and FaceTime and all of those capabilities as well. 1,440 milliamp hour battery in the Apple iPhone 5. So available on all those carriers as well, plus Verizon right now, plus a wealth of prepaid carriers also. This one, hopefully we'll see on some of the other prepaid carriers in the coming weeks, which I know that's what you hear all the time in the mobile space. Now, before I get too far into the dogfight, I want to give special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile because they give us all kinds of devices like this for use in our One Paw Band-Aid giveaway game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll make sure your email, your web, your contacts, your settings on whichever device you choose are working, so when you walk out that door, you can start your weekend off. You don't have to worry about getting all the settings set up. Now, first thing I want to point out here on both of these devices, and like I said, this is running iOS 7 as a beta, but still very much the case with iOS 6 as well. On the iPhone 5, there's no carrier installed bloatware, so you get this from AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile. You're not going to see any carrier installed software on this device. You're not going to see T-Mobile's My Account, for example, or VZ Navigator, or anything like that over here on the Apple iPhone 5. What you will see over on the HTC One, some very basic stuff depending on the carrier version. For example, this is the Sprint model, and you've got Sprint TV and Movies, Sprint Worldwide, and then that's about it on the Sprint side with the exception of Google Shopper, Qualcomm's enhanced application, which are all applications maybe for the device itself and not necessarily a carrier installed application. So pretty clean for the most part in terms of Sprint installed stuff. That's really all you got there to deal with, and beyond that, it's a pretty stock build, or at least from an application standpoint, a pretty stock build of Android with Google basic applications. Now, overall functionality, and first of all, before we start talking about functionality, design is very different to an extent here as well. Now, arguably, this is the most beautiful Android device out there on the market right now. It has a metal build around it, a beautiful display that's 4.7 inches, like I said. Boom sound speakers on the front right here, so I don't know why they haven't done this more in recent years. Speakers on the front, so when you're watching the device, watching a video, listening to music, it's projecting out at you, which is the smartest thing I think any OEM has done in some time. Design-wise, power button up top, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack up top. You've got your volume rocker over here on the side, micro USB charging port at the bottom, and then your micro SIM card slot up here in the top left-hand corner. But really a gorgeous design, and this is being called by many, even Android enthusiasts, as kind of the Android phone that resembles the iPhone. It's the iPhone of the Android world, if you will. And you can kind of see where it gets that appeal from. Metal on the back, metal on the front, looks a lot like the Apple iPhone 5. So here's the inspiration, if you want to call it that. The iPhone 5, obviously you've got metal on the back. This is available, as is this one, in kind of a silver/white color scheme and a black/gray color scheme in 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte variants. This comes in 32 and 64 at select carriers. You got the white one over here. You got this on the front, all glass on the front, and then on the sides, nano SIM card slot over on the right-hand side, volume rocker, and then a toggle on the side to toggle between on volume, or regular volume, I should say, on volume. On volume. It sounds like something I would say, on volume. like some voice command or something, but a toggle between normal volume and vibration. And then you got your volume rocker switches up here as well. 3.5mm headphone jack, lightning port, and then of course your speakers here at the bottom as well. It really fits well in the hand, and for a lot of people that like a smaller device, this is going to be the unit to get, because from a travel perspective, travel standpoint, I can move across the display with ease. Over here, 4.7, definitely pushing the balance, but even for me, I can still make it across the display. Where it gets to me, my preferred size actually in my personal life is 5 inches, but then, you know, anything bigger, decent. Anything within that kind of range like this, definitely usable all across the board. So let's jump into the applications as well and kind of take a look at the software differences between these devices. So you've obviously got your text messaging here, those capabilities, and I'll show you what the keyboards look like. And it's obviously, at least for me, pretty easy to type on a 4.7-inch display. And combined with that HTC Sense version 5, you can see the customizations to Android. It does heavily customize it, but I like HTC's keyboard quite a bit. So you've got the portrait version. Here we go, we'll throw it into landscape version as well, so you can take a look at that. And then Apple's iOS 7 version over here in portrait, and in landscape you can see what the keyboard's going to look like when it launches a little bit later in the fall. So we'll start out with the quick brown fox is ready for the weekend, thank heavens. Quick brown fox is ready or rest according to that for the weekend, thank heavens. Portrait to landscape, fast and easy. Over here we'll do the same thing. The quick brown fox, happy that it is Friday, gotta get down on Friday, which I totally butchered that one. Gotta get it on Friday. Portrait to landscape mode, pretty fluid on this device as well. And I should have mentioned this a second ago, you've got a back at a home capacitive button down here at the bottom, whereas on the iPhone 5, you've got one physical home button at the bottom, and that's it. But overall input ability is pretty easy on both of these devices. You do get a little bit more option when it comes to the Android device, because you can download third-party keyboard alternatives from the Google Play Store. So the Google keyboard, for example, Swift key, swipe, I can keep going on, and you can download those from the Google Play Store. Now, stock Android not on this device. Sense 5 is what comes out of the box on this version, the carrier version. And you can see, like I said, heavily customized version of Android right here. And then iOS 7, obviously designed by Apple, and the hardware is designed by Apple as well. So it's got a through and through look that is very much Apple, even in the most latest version of iOS. Over here, very similar to what we've seen from Sense in the past and from HTC in the past, but really it's been customized with new fonts to make it look better all across the board, and it's faster to boot, which I'm really impressed with. The notifications bar down here, or excuse me, up top looks different. This little dock area looks different. I can move my applications and my icons around, as you see, and actually in order to do that I have to go into right here, and we'll swipe it right back up. I don't know why it's not taking. Boom. There we go, and now I've got a space where I can bring down Google Plus, for example, and bring it right down here into the notifications bar, though I forgot I actually have to do it from up here as well. So you have to actually do this from the menu. Keep that in mind. I always forget about that over on this device. Let's take a look at the browsers as well. You got PhoneDog.com on both of these devices. We'll load up PhoneDog over on this one and take a look. Pinch to zoom, incredibly responsive on the iPhone 5. Though I will say this page actually doesn't do pinch to zoom, but new features in iOS 7 include new page animations right here, as you can see. And then we'll go back to PhoneDog and do it in portrait and landscape. Fast and easy. That is one characteristic of iOS 7. Very fluid across the board, and you see that even in iOS 7, even in this beta version, I should say, of iOS 7. Now, PhoneDog's loading up over here, but Sprint's 4G LTE is pretty slow, at least in the part of Dallas where my office is. But while that's loading, I can show you the tab format here, and you can see 2 tabs open. I can easily swipe between those. I can open a new tab, and it keeps track of how many tabs I have open with that little number up there in the top right-hand corner. Overall, very easy to use, and like I said, the keyboard is incredibly responsive. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com. Part 2 will be coming up. We'll be talking about camera, speed tests, LTE connectivity, and more. You're going to want to stay tuned for Part 2 of this Android versus iOS, HTC versus Apple, crazy Friday dogfight. I'll be back soon with Part 2.